Hi, my name's Piper. According to psychiatrists who utilize the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, I have psychosis, OCD, depression, anorexia, autism, anxiety, bipolar, borderline personality disorder, bulimia. Oh, I'm also a Taurus. I've spent the last 6 years in the mental health system, through hospitals, residential programs, wilderness therapy, and more. Today I'm here to talk about my story and why the one-size-fits-all approach to mental illness doesn't work for everyone. Since my first stay in a psych ward, after a suicide attempt at age 12, I was treated as though I was broken and needed to be fixed. They never looked at the whole picture. They never looked at all the symptoms. It was, what am I presenting right now? Treat that and send her on her way with new meds. When I said I was suicidal, now I have major depressive disorder. And when I wasn't eating, I had anorexia nervosa. And when I was self-harming, I had generalized anxiety disorder. Find a therapist, here's your meds, let's fix that. My adolescence was filled with traumatic stays in psych wards. My honesty was met with what felt like punishment. I would say that I wanted to die, and I had to stay for a few more days. My weight went down, so I had to stay for a few more days. I was angry and didn't want to go to group therapy, so my sentence was extended for a few more days. So I learned how to lie, and I learned how to cheat to get myself out faster. And I get that in the long run, that probably did more harm than good. But my immediate need to get out of what felt like a prison was pretty strong. So the cycle continued. I'd fall apart. I'd do something so risky I'd end up in the psych ward. I'd feel safe for a bit. I'd get yet another incorrect diagnosis. And then I'd lie about how I felt to get out. I started relying on them to fix me, when in the long run, it was doing more harm than good. When I went to a long-term wilderness therapy program and a therapeutic boarding school, it was the same exact story. What am I presenting? What tools do you have for me? Don't forget the meds. And if I didn't improve, I had to stay longer. So, again, I learned how to suppress and manage my symptoms. Through all of this, I was stuck in the continuous cycle of self-sabotage, poor mental health, and suicidal behavior. In August 2020, I had a very serious suicide attempt. I had just graduated from these long-term programs, and I told myself that I was free, right? I had played the game successfully, and since I had done everything in the books when it comes to mental health treatment, I was good now, or so I told myself. I ended up in the ICU, intubated and unconscious for several days, and in the hospital for about a week. This was my closest call yet. I remember that first morning home from the hospital so vividly. It was around 7 a.m. I had just woken up in my parents' bed. I was looking out the window and listening to the birds chirp. And then I had this moment of clarity about how I had spent the last 4 years of my life in the mental health system, but never really felt any relief. I had been solely relying on them to fix me. Something needed to change. So I started embracing the mental health challenges I face. My correct diagnosis is borderline personality disorder. Some of the things I face are impulsivity, disordered eating, all or nothing thinking, and intense emotions. My brain has created these thoughts and feelings because it is trying to keep me safe. It's trying to protect me. We all have certain thoughts and emotions, and it's our brain's way of saying something needs to change. For you, it could be restlessness, resentment, anger, or intense feelings of sadness. Let's say I'm feeling really stressed at work. Instead of turning away from that issue and thinking, I hate feeling like this, how can I suppress this? How can I get rid of this? I'm going to turn towards that feeling. What is this trying to tell me? Maybe I need to take a break. I've been doing too much at work, and my brain is going crazy. So I need to stop for just a second. Maybe I've been focusing so much on my workload that I forgot to have a life outside of that. So I can go hang out with some friends this weekend and relax a little bit. By using this tool, I have seen a huge improvement in my mental health. I feel more peaceful, more intuitive, and more stable. For years, I was taught that I was broken, that I needed to be fixed. This contributed greatly to the way I felt mentally. I hated myself, and I hated that I wasn't normal. The thing is, you can't hate yourself into feeling better. I had to relearn the way I felt about my disorder. I feel emotions very intensely. And yes, the lows for me are incredibly low. But the love I feel with such intense emotion is so beautiful. And the happy moments are so much brighter. I'm now 18, and I would be lying if I said I have not been in moments of crisis since that night. The difference between now and then is my relationship with crisis. Yes, I do have a therapist, and yes, I am on meds, but I don't solely rely on that to fix me, and I know deep down that I'm not something that needs to be fixed, and there is nothing wrong with me. Throughout my journey, I have met hundreds of people who have the same exact story as me. This is not unique. I am not broken. They are not broken. You are not broken. Thank you.